promised my crew a long time ago I'd keep them alive.
I won't fight with anybody else.
Rain's coming.
Best job I ever had.
Best job I ever had.
Best job I ever had.
Ideals are peaceful. History is violent. Fury, rated R, now play.
And welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. We have a lot of good films this weekend, and really not really a whole lot of bad films, except for one, which we'll get to. It's kind of like in the middle, so it's kind of like the best sandwich in the world with a piece of shit in the middle, but we'll get to that in a little bit here. But we are taking a look at the 5 films of October 17th, 2014, starting off with Fury, which is, of course, a movie about members of an American tank crew fighting in Nazi Germany during the final weeks of the European theater of World War II. These people include Brad Pitt, Shia LaBeouf, Logan Lerman, Michael Pena, and John Barenthal. And this is David Ayer coming back in a big, big way after his earlier film this year, Sabotage, was a major, major misfire. But this is a major return to form for him, who creates really one of the best war movies in recent years. Those critical reviews there are pretty spot on with this movie. This is a very, very good movie. The cast overall is really good. You have a lot of really good action sequences in here. The cinematography in this is nicely done. There is a lot of good dramatic elements to it, and this joins the ranks of some of the best war films of modern day. Saving Private Ryan, Letters from Iwo Jima, Black Hawk Down. I mean, Lone Survivor is another one. We can add in a bunch of ones. Jarhead. Miracle at St. Anna, even Flags of Our Fathers, even though Letters from Iwo Jima is the better movie. But yeah, this definitely deserves to be up there with some of the best war films of recent memory. I mean, this is a great film, and one of David Ayer's best movies overall. I mean, this is a guy who made one of my favorite movies of 2012 with End of Watch, but yeah, this is right up there with some of his best work overall. So, not much more to really say about this one, except Fury is an outstanding, outstanding film. Can't recommend this one enough. So let's go ahead and move on to another movie that was very well received when it came out and definitely deserves a lot more attention, especially around Halloween. This is The Book of Life.
Follow me. You need to see something special. All the world is made of stories, and all of those stories are right here in the Book of Life. But the greatest story begins on the Day of the Dead. A day when spirits pass between worlds and anything can happen.
Ah, look at them. 2 best friends.
Oh, in love with the same girl. You two are acting like fools.
Wait, me too?
You picked yourself a feisty one.
How about a little wager? I bet that Maria will marry Joaquin.
Very well.
By the ancient rules. The wager is set.
Manolo, it's so beautiful.
I will lose the wager. Fix this for me, old friend.
I may not be the town hero, Maria, but I swear with all my heart, I will never stop loving you.
Wait! Manolo!
Where am I?
Welcome to the land of the Remember.
Don't try to take it all in at once.
This is incredible.
Epic fiestas every day.
Or you can eat churros.
My lady,
Please help me reunite with the love of my life.
if you complete these tasks,
You will see Maria again.
hey girl, get that a lot?
The Book of Life.
Hold it! I know exactly what to play! You got what I need!
Wow, that totally captivated her.
Now, I know what you're thinking, but keep in mind that this was 3 years before Coco. This was 3 years before Disney eventually decided to buy Fox, and essentially this was after Pixar had planned to do a film about the Day of the Dead, but they essentially dropped those plans before they eventually moved on to Coco. So I think it is kind of funny that Disney now owns Coco and a film that people thought was a knockoff of The Book of Life, but it's anything but a knockoff. It's actually a very unique twist that is something radically different than Coco is. We'll get to Coco eventually, but from producer Guillermo del Toro and director Jorge Gutierrez, who gave us Nickelodeon's very underrated animated series El Tigre, and he's supposedly working on the new Speedy Gonzales movie over at Warner Brothers now. But this movie is about the journey of Manolo, voiced by Diego Luna, who's a young man who's torn between fulfilling the expectations of his family and following his heart. Again, something very similar to something like Coco. Before choosing which path to follow, he embarks on an incredible journey that spans 3 fantastical worlds where he must face his greatest fears. Which, with a fresh take on a pop music favorites, The Book of Life encourages us to celebrate the past while looking forward to the future. Once again, very much like Coco. And honestly, Pixar did legitimately drop that Day of the Dead movie once this movie came out, and at the time, I could see why, because, yeah, this was a really good movie, and especially considering that this is from the same company that gave us Freebirds the year before. Talk about a vast improvement, man. I mean, there's just so much about this movie to admire about it. It's a surprisingly enjoyable film. The animation style is really incredible. Like I said, this is Jorge Gutierrez working with this, and, you know, it's fun to see that animation style from El Tigre come to life in a CG format. In fact, they even bring in some characters from the show into this movie that actually do appear in a couple of 2D segments in here. But the visual look in here is impressive, and it makes the great transition to 3D animation with that in that same way that kind of Genndy Tartakovsky's unique animation style comes in from the 2D Dexter's Laboratory and Star Wars Clone Wars to the 3D Hotel Transylvania. It's very nicely done, with exactly kind of the same heart and style to it as well. I even like the character styles of these characters overall. The wooden puppet-like creatures looking pretty impressive. The gods, I think, are very nicely done. You've got Zibalba, I think I'm pronouncing that right, voiced really well by Ron Perlman, carrying a nice-looking mix between Hades from Hercules and Discord from My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. But all the other characters are great in this, too. I think Luna's perfectly cast as Manolo. Channing Tatum works as Joaquin. Zoe Saldana is very good as Maria. I mentioned Ron Perlman. Kate Del Casto is great as La Muerte. I don't know what the hell's going on there. La Muerte. God damn it. La Muerte. Oh my god. La Muerte. That has never happened to me before. I know I'm not the best at pronunciations, but my god, man, I can't even pronounce that name correctly. But anyway, sorry about that. Christina Applegate is great as the narrator. See, that's a simple one I can pronounce, narrator. Ice Cube actually is surprisingly really good as the Candlemaker. Hector Elizondo is pretty good as Manolo's father. You also have Danny Trejo, of course, Ana de la Regula, Placido Domingo, Guillermo del Toro having a nice little cameo too. I think the story overall works really well. You think it's going ahead into the same predictable story we've seen done to death before, but it doesn't really do that. Yeah, it does kind of fall into some cliches that we've seen done time and time again, but they're very little scenes, and they don't really affect the majority of the story going on here. And I like the music, too. The music by Gustavo Santaolalla, I think that's what I'm pronouncing it. At least it's better than Kate Del Castro's character, which is what I'm going to call it from this point. Who also did the scores for Brokeback Mountain and Babel, as well as the video game The Last of Us. Not to mention the pop songs that they do put in here are very well done. And you even get some original songs from, of all people, Paul Williams. Yeah, we're bringing Paul Williams back into the spotlight in this movie. I mean, this is a really, really damn good movie, man. This is a real winner. It takes all the great elements of Disney's animated musicals and combines it with a mixture of DreamWorks' contemporary elements in their films, along with the great animation style of El Tigre, putting it together into one of the best animated movies of the year. It's got heart, it's got humor, it's got great animation, it's got great characters. It's one of the most original creative animated films I've seen in years, and it's definitely worth a watch. Obviously, if you didn't see it in theaters, definitely check it out, because it is definitely worth it. Even after watching Coco, which I do really like that movie more, but Book of Life came first, and I think it was a movie that was well ahead of its time, kind of like how the Peanuts movie was kind of ahead of its time in a way, especially with the way that the animation in that worked. But yeah, this is one I definitely recommend checking out, The Book of Life. So let's go ahead and move on to the black sheep of the weekend, the worst film easily, and that is, of course, coincidentally, it's the worst film of the weekend, but the title of it says it is the best of them, and that is The Best of Me.
Thursday.
Dawson, what would you risk for me?
Everything.
Amanda?
Dawson,
Been a long time.
want me to fall back in love with you? How do I do that if I haven't ever stopped?
I can't lose you again.
Things have changed since I last saw you.
People spend their whole life looking for this. Let me love you again.
The Best of Me. Rated PG-13. In theaters Thursday. Everywhere Friday.
Yeah, you could definitely tell this is when Nicholas Sparks movies were not being seen as the hot ticket anymore. I mean, this isn't The Notebook anymore. And yeah, it was really hard for Nicholas Sparks to find any momentum after this. But this is The Best of Me, which really is not, but you get the idea. This is a film where, stop me if you've heard this plot before, two people who fell in love once before, back in the day, they separate, they go their separate ways, and then 20 years later, they meet together again, and suddenly the sparks are back again, and that's literally that type of a film. It's a movie where you have these two who, the movie goes back and forth between the relationship of the couple in 1992 to 20 years later, and it falls into every single Nicholas Sparks territory as it gets. It's going to have a moment where the two are going to fall in love again. They're going to break up again. They're going to have the big misunderstanding. There's going to be a storm going on, or some kind of Mother Nature disaster happening, and then at the end they're going to be more in love with each other than ever before. And that's exactly the type of movie that you get with this film here. A film that is just so generic and so lame that, I mean, for those of you who don't remember Nicholas Sparks' movies back in the day, they're like the Colleen Hoover movies of today. They make one hit movie, and then all of a sudden everybody's just like, we got to get in on this because we're guaranteed to make a ton of money on this. And no, this thing did not make a ton of money. This thing didn't do very well. It bombed pretty hard, and there was one more Nicholas Sparks movie that came after this, and that one didn't really pan out all that well in terms of like a wide release. Because then after that, there was like these little films that really weren't the biggest gigantic hits overall, but it's not a very good movie, and it really does little to help James Marsden or Michelle Monaghan or Luke Bracey or Leona Liberato. The last two you probably never even heard of, but yeah, they were trying to make them a big deal back then. But yeah, it just doesn't work, man. It's just a lousy film. And it just goes to show you that The Notebook simply was a once-in-a-lifetime thing, that you try to copy it over and over and over again, and people will get sick and tired of it. And yeah, this was getting to the point where people were really getting sick and goddamn tired of this. So, alright, so we took care of the black sheep of the weekend. Now let's get back to the good stuff here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this year's Best Picture winner, and that is Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance.
Who was this guy who used to be Birdman?
You were a movie star, remember?
Shut up.
Now you're about to destroy what's left of your career. Listen to me. Let's make a comeback.
You're becoming a trending topic.
I got a chance to do something right. I gotta take it.
Birdman. Rated R.
Stop the music.
Sarah, you did not pay me.
In select theaters October 17th.
Yeah, this movie was a big surprise on a number of different levels. I mean, a movie that really kind of came out of nowhere and turned out to be a film so good it won the Best Picture. We'll get to that. We'll talk more about that in just a second here. But the story of this is that Michael Keaton plays Regan Thompson, what's known quite well to movie theater goers as an iconic superhero called the Birdman. Gee, that sounds familiar for Michael Keaton. Had recently turned down a fourth installment of the franchise. Now washed up, he attempts to reinvent himself as a director by staging a new adaptation of the Raven Carver short story called What We Talk About When We Talk About Love. The events leading up to the Saturday night premiere proved to be one disaster after another, as the original lead actor is injured while on set, and Regan scrambles to find a replacement. But the replacement, played by Edward Norton, proves to be exactly who he needs. A method actor who takes the job way too seriously, but Regan has a hard time juggling between the set, his replacement actor, his equally washed-up daughter, played by Emma Stone, and a host of other disasters that prevent a proper staging of the play. Meanwhile, a New York Times critic who Regan has to woo threatens to shut down production of the play before it even starts for the scathing review of the opening night performance. Does Regan have a hit on his hands, or will he make it past opening night? I mean, this movie is amazing, man. This is an outstanding film. This is one of the most mesmerizing movie-going experiences I've ever had in my life. And not only that, it's one of the best character studies you will ever see in your entire life. I mean, Michael Keaton is so good in this movie as Regan Thompson. He's one of the most intriguing characters to be put on screen in a long time. Just the way his thought process is throughout the course of this movie. it just makes him one of the most intriguing character studies I've ever seen. I mean, it also helps that Keaton kind of has been on this path before. He was a megastar with the first two Batman movies, and his career kind of took a little bit of a nosedive in the until the late 2000s, early 2010s, and he gets more when he gets more films again, but it's a performance that just works so well to Keaton overall, and he really should have gotten the Oscar for this. This is one of those performances where, like, I mean, I get it, Eddie Redmayne was pretty good as Stephen Hawking in The Theory of Everything, but come on, man. This was his one chance, man. This is like Mickey Rourke on The Wrestler. He may never get another shot at this again. But, I mean, the rest of the cast overall is really good. Edward Norton, I thought, was having a ton of fun with his character in this, satirizing the method actor who thinks he knows better than the director, which is actually sort of like how Norton has repeatedly acted beforehand in real life. I mean, you look back at what happened with The Incredible Hulk, where he wanted to take over that movie and thought that it was his baby because he was in it, even though he didn't direct the movie, but Emma Stone is really good in here. Zach Galifianakis, Amy Ryan. Another great performance by Naomi Watts in the month of October after St. Vincent. But, yeah, the story structure is nicely handled, and the bits of comedy are pretty good, too. My favorite scene is probably when, Reagan lambasts the critic that's already set to give his show a bad review. And I get the feeling that most actors who deal with a critic would love to do the same thing, and probably probably have done the same thing, but the music is nicely done, even though it's just basically somebody on drums with a few classical pieces on the side. It works pretty well to the film's advantages. I mean, it works very well. The best aspect, though, of the movie is the cinematography, which is outstanding. The whole movie is set up to be like this one continuous shot, and they do a fantastic job making us believe that this was all in one continuous shot. There are parts where you can tell there may have been a slight cut, like a transition shot, but on the whole, they did a pretty good job of making us believe that the film was done in one single shot. The visual look is really impressive, and the scene where it requires visual effects are so good, especially considering the small budget that this movie has. I mean, this is, without a doubt, one of the more fascinating movies I've ever seen in my life. I could see why this won Best Picture that year, even though everyone was thinking Boyhood was going to do it because of the challenges they had to do with that film, filming that over 12 years. And if that had won, I would have been more than happy with that, because I thought Boyhood was one of the best films of the year. But yeah, Birdman definitely deserved to win it, just because of how mesmerizing it is. It's a high mark not just for the director, Alejandro González Iñárritu, but also for Michael Keaton, who, again, should have gotten an Oscar for this, but he gave the best performance of his entire career. It's one of the best dark comedies to come out in a long time. The visuals are incredible. The music is great. It just works on every single level. There's a reason why this won Best Picture. This is a film that definitely deserves all the attention it got. I love the hell out of this movie. Birdman, can't recommend it enough. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last film that we have here, and that is Dear White People.
Dear white people.
Dear white people,
Please stop touching my hair. Dear white people, stop dancing.
Who does Sam think she is?
This like Spike Lee and Oprah had some sort of baby.
Everyone should see this movie, raves the New York Times.
Get the honeys up in this piece, you know what I'm
Honeys.
saying? Come on, dude.
The Village Voice calls it exhilarating, a sharp and audacious comedy.
Racism is over in America. The only people who are thinking about it are, I don't know, Mexicans, probably.
Dear
That's right, folks. Racism is gone in 2014, and it's never coming back. Shit. Dear White People, let's talk about this movie. This film focuses on escalating racial tensions at a fictitious, prestigious Ivy League college from the perspectives of several black students, including Tyler James Williams from Everybody Hates Chris, Tessa Thompson in one of her early film roles. You have Kyle Gallner from Friday Night Lights, Teyonah Parris, Brandon P. Bell, Brittany Curran, Marquay Richardson, Dennis Haysberg's one of the cast members in this. This is produced by Lena Waithe. Directed by Justin Simien, who would later go on to direct Bad Hair and then later the Disney Haunted Mansion remake of 2023. But this movie overall is a very solid film. It's a film that is very topical even by today's standards. I think the acting overall is terrific. The message overall is more potent than ever before. I mean, this is a movie that just works on so many levels. I never saw the television series that this was based off of, but I mean, I gotta figure that I've heard a lot of good things about it, though. It's one I haven't really got a chance to check out, but it did last for a couple seasons, so at least it looked like they were on the pathway to something. It sounds like it was a good show overall, but yeah, like I said, this is a movie that I think really is something that is not only was topical then, it's more topical now than ever, and it's a movie that I think a lot of people can really get to learn a lot of hard lessons about themselves watching it. I mean, it's a movie where you look at it and it's just kind of like, yeah, you could see why. I mean, you could definitely see why people why this movie has had such a lasting impact overall. And like I said, it's something where this thing is never going away anytime soon. Racism will sadly always be here in the world, and movies like this try to tell you, hey, this is for you people out there who are racist and don't like a certain color or anything. Maybe you ought to take some advice from this movie here. I mean, this is a film that, like I said, is something that. I mean, it's a movie that is a movie that does ask a lot of questions, and it does work because of the fact that this is a timely conversation that will never go away, no matter how hard we try. Racism will always be there, no matter where we go. Even if somehow the world gets back to normal once we get through this regime and all that, it's still going to be around no matter what, sadly. But movies like this can give you kind of an idea and give yourself a little bit of an education of how to deal with this stuff in the world, man. It's just so well done. It's a really, really good movie overall. I can't recommend it enough. Definitely check it out. Dear White People, outstanding film. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we'll take a look at yet another franchise that started in October 2014. Did get off to the best start overall with a really bad movie with Ouija, based off the board game, of course. But, hey, the next movie after that, somebody will come in and actually do something with it, and that somebody is Mike Flanagan. But sadly, we got to get through this one first, and it's a bad one, Ouija. But hey, another franchise is born on this particular weekend, and that is Keanu Reeves as John Wick. And we'll take a look at both of those movies coming up on the next episode. That'll be tomorrow. But with all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, the subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.